myself some coffee, cook the kids some breakfast. Man, my life is hectic, but the only thing that I can seem to think about is you. People always asking, what would Jesus do? I guess that everybody else is thinking about you too. All around the world, what they talk about is you. And my plans, the shows and the fans would probably drive me crazy if I didn't hold your hand. Cause no matter where I go, I never ever go without you. I just couldn't do it, no, I wouldn't get through it. Trying to rock without you's like an engine with no fluid. I crash and I burn and I die without you. Yeah.
Nicole Mason Show, a show where we feature phenomenal women who are utilizing their gifts, talents, and skills to move and shake the world. And today, like I always say, is like no other day on the Nicole Mason Show, because you never know who you're going to meet, and every show is different. Every guest brings a wealth of experience, expertise, fresh anointing, powerful testimony to the Nicole Mason Show. And so we're so excited today that we have an awesome woman of God with us. And so I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for tuning in consistently. We have viewers all over the world, and we are just so excited about that. We get our stats every week, and we're just excited that we're growing in our numbers all over the world. Japan, Italy, Canada, British Columbia, the United Kingdom. We're everywhere. And so we are so thankful that you all are tuning in to the Nicole Mason Show. So let's get right into it. I've got to introduce this phenomenal woman of God to you so we can jump right into this conversation today. It promises to be a very powerful session for us today, and a very candid conversation about life after the silence. What silence is that, you might ask? And so she's going to share that with you. So let me introduce her. Angela Wharton. Pretty girl. Angela D. Wharton is the visionary founder and CEO of Phoenix Ministries Incorporated, a Christian-based nonprofit organization that provides a pathway to healing for women sexual assault survivors through love, support, advocacy, empowerment, and education. A woman of enormous faith and a two-time survivor of a sexual assault, Angela is a devoted wife and mother of two young girls on an uncharted mission of healing, wholeness, empowerment, and love. Stepping out on faith to implement her God-given vision to establish Phoenix Ministries Incorporated based on the story of the phoenix bird rising from the ashes. Yes, Angela has been reassuring and strengthening survivors of sexual violence since 2011. Phoenix Ministries provides a safe space for women sexual assault survivors to break their silence and receive the necessary tools to pick up the pieces of their lives as they journey towards healing and deliverance in Christ. Services include a sexual assault support group for women at the Empowerment Temple, where she is also a member under the pastorate of Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, a prayer call, crisis hotline, counseling, referral services, and a survivor empowerment program. Angela's message of hope and healing has reached thousands through social media and partnerships with sexual assault and domestic violence agencies, advocacy groups, human sex trafficking safe houses, local churches, community organizations, women's groups, substance abuse agencies for women, schools, colleges, and universities. Angela has hosted and spoken at workshops and numerous events for wide-ranging audiences, including senior citizens, students and faculty, faith communities, recovering substance abusers, and the public at large. She has served as a panelist at several of the Morgan State University events, including the Male Forum Against Domestic Violence. She also testified before the State Judiciary Committee in support of legislation to make sex offenders' past history admissible in court. Angela has made appearances on local radio and television in Baltimore, including WHUR's The Daily Drum, where the topic was the sexual harassment of women on the streets. She is an inspirational speaker and best-selling author. She shares in her book, Life After the Silence, From Pain to Power to Purpose, her compelling story of moving from victim to victorious, having twice survived sexual violence. She paints a vivid picture of how she moved from the pain of sexual assaults to the power gained from her experiences, to how it all propelled her to her purpose to help others heal. She is dedicated to providing survivors with hope in the face of hopelessness, courage in the presence of fear, strength to break the silence, and the power to move to forgiveness, all with the ultimate goal for the survivor to recapture love unconditionally and heal. Oh, welcome to the Nicole Mason Show, Angela D. Wharton. Oh.
Yes, thank you so
I am so excited that you have joined me today. Listen, I just want to say, first and foremost, I think it's so important to read one's bio so that people will know who we have on this show. And that we're bringing the best to people, the best, the brightest, the most anointed to share their stories, to inspire our audience, to motivate and to inform. And so I was so excited when you reached out to me several months ago. We've been trying to get together.
Yes.
And our schedules have been just so crazy. But I'm so proud of you and the work that you have done. And the work that you are doing, most recently testifying before the state judiciary. But let's just start from the beginning.
Okay.
Because, people, they see you and you're beautiful and you have this beautiful smile and this awesome ministry. But I want to start from the beginning because you and I did have the chance to fellowship via phone and talk for some time. And I think it's important that we start so that the audience will know that you are teaching and you are leading this ministry from experience, not what someone told you, but from experience. So let's talk about what led you to this ministry and this line of work, because it is a line of work. It is a vocation. It is a calling. It is a purpose. So let's talk about that.
Absolutely. Thank you again for that amazing introduction and for the opportunity to share my story and my testimony on your show on today. You are right. It's been some time, but God finally brought us together. Finally. Such as this. Yes. Yeah. All right. So starting from the beginning, at the age of 14 years old, the man that my mom was dating at the time called the house and said that he wanted to have a discussion with me. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. My mom's not here, so I don't think that's a good idea. But he came down and we had a conversation, and he shared with me that he had a way that he could make $500, that I could make $500 a night. Now, he knew that my mom was a single parent, didn't have much money. Oftentimes, we didn't have a lot of food in the house, and we didn't have telephone, BG&E, and that sort of thing. So he knew that my mom was really struggling. So he used that to try to coerce me to make $500 a night by talking to men over the phone about sex. And I just kept saying, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't feel comfortable doing that. And after much persuasion of trying to get me to do it in terms of making a way to get money to get my hair done. You remember back in the day we used to wear the tilt, and we used to wear the Gloria Vanderbilt jeans and the chick jeans and all of that. So I wanted those things because my mom wasn't able to provide those things for us. So I was like, okay, all right. So then he's like, good. So then I just need a sample of you. So I said, sample? What do you mean, sample? And he said, well, we'll just go down to your room and we'll just sleep together. And it won't hurt. It'll be real fast. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So then he kept talking to me, kept persuading me and encouraging me and trying to get me to do it, and kept saying, you can really make this money and help your mom, and you can really help her if you do this. So then I said, okay. So then we get down to the room, and before I know it, this man had taken his clothes off and gotten in my little twin bed.
Wow.
And I'm standing on the side of the bed like this, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And he's like, come on. It won't take long. It'll be real quick. So then I get in with my clothes on, and then he rolls over, rips my pants off, and proceeds to assault me. And then I say to him, stop, get off of me. If you don't get off of me, I'm going to scream rape. He jumped up and looked at me. He said, how you going to scream rape? You let me in here. You let me down here. How you going to scream rape? See, he turned it around on me.
Sure.
So then my doorbell rang. And when the doorbell rang, he's like, who is that? I'm like, I don't know. So then I grabbed my clothes, put them back on as best I could, and ran upstairs to open the door, and it was a friend of mine. And don't you know, by the time I got upstairs to open the door, this man had got his clothes on and was walking out as my friend was coming in.
Wow.
And I never told anyone about that except for my best friend the very next morning as we walked to school. Fast forward 10 years to the age of 24, where I was raped in the woods at gunpoint by a masked man in Northeast Baltimore. Came home from my girlfriend's house, getting my hair done. And as I was walking up the apartment pathway, walking to the door, I go to reach for the door, and I see this man standing there pulling a mask over his head, and he has a gun. And he's like, "Give me your purse. Now turn around and walk that way." And I was like, oh. I just became a new Christian. I had gotten saved in September, and this happened in November.
Wow.
So the first thing I thought was, okay, I know the 23rd Psalm. I know it pretty good. So let me just start praying to God and reciting the 23rd Psalm. So that's what I did. I gave him my purse, started praying, and he said, "Now turn around and walk that way." So he marched me around the back of the apartment building into the wooded area. And when he got to the place where he was ready to violate me, he turned around and brought the gun and put it right to my head.
Wow.
And at that point, I started to really plead for my life. Like, "Sir, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. You know, I go to school every day. I go to work. I go to church. Don't kill me. Please. It'll kill my mom." And he's like, "Shut up." But that's not really what he said. So then at that point, he makes me get down on my knees with the gun to my head and make me do some unmentionable things.
Sure.
And at that point, I still didn't think that he was going to violate me. I thought that he was just going to blow my head off and leave me for dead right there in the woods. But then he asked me to take my clothes off. Jesus. That's when I knew. So then he went on to violate me at gunpoint. And when he was done, the last thing, well, actually, as he was violating me, I remember having that God experience. I remember being there, and it felt like God had taken my spirit out of my body and had taken me up with him, because I had like an aerial view of everything that was happening to me from on high.
Sure.
And then when it was all over, I remember it felt like God had popped my spirit back into my body, and I remember jumping up and saying, okay, all right, okay, you're still here. Before he ran off, he said, "I know where you live, and I know what kind of car you drive. I will find you, and I will kill you." And then it was like he ran off, and I was just like, okay, you still here. You need to get yourself together and get up and get out of here before he comes back and wonder why you still here and finish you off. So at that point, I was able to get to the safety of a good friend who took me to my mom's house, and we went to the hospital, and then from that point, everything just kind of came together. I had the safe exam done at a local hospital, and everything just kind of went from there, and my recovery process had begun at that point.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and unfortunately, this is an experience that so many women face all too often.
Absolutely.
And I want to go back to the first assault, because we see a lot of that happening. And I know you can speak to that, working with young girls and doing the work that you do. What are some of the recommendations that you would share with women who have men in the home who are not the children's father? We do know that there are some fathers who are evil and perverted, but I know, and I've read myself, that studies have shown that men who are in the home who are not the children's father, those cases tend to happen more often as it relates to sexual violence and molestation and rape. So what are some of the recommendations that you would have for a mother who is dating a man, married to a man who's not the children's father?
Watch your children. If you notice any abnormal behavior, if you notice that they were not wetting the bed, but they are now, if you notice that they were a kid that was happy-go-lucky, very outgoing, and all of a sudden they're very closed in, very secluded and stays to themselves a lot, or if they're very quiet now, just notice any subtle change, because there are different symptoms of child abuse. You know, if he comes around and they're like, I don't want to be around him. Or even look for the ones, family members as well. Because, you know, look for the ones who are singling your kid out. If they're always bringing gifts for your kid, if they want your child to sit on their laps, that's an absolute no-no in my opinion. You know, do not allow that to happen. Also, if your child comes to you, I've heard this so many times, if your child comes to you and says, Mommy, you know, Uncle Peanut has touched me in this place, or Mr. Tony has done this to me, believe your child. Support your child. One of the worst things you can do as a parent when your child is reaching out to you for safety and for help is to reject them, because you're re-victimizing your child all over again. They're coming to you for safety, for help, for protection. So whatever you do, please believe your child.
Yeah, and I think that's a very critical point, because, you know, over the years ministering to women, I've heard these kinds of stories over and over again, and how when the children went for help, the person that they spoke to, and most of the time it's the mom, did not believe them. Absolutely. But I also have heard some stories where the mothers were getting ready to kill the person. I like those kind of mamas.
Absolutely. Okay,
my mama was that kind of mama, you know, because your children need to know that they can talk to you and they can tell you anything. Absolutely. And so I applaud your bravery, because, you know, it's bravery that allows one to come forward, particularly, you know, after so long, because I remember you sharing with me when you finally shared with your mom, you know, this experience and just how that went for you. And I thought that was pretty powerful.
Yes. So I actually did not share with my mom that this person had assaulted me. He actually just disappeared. He never came back around again. And I tried to tell her at one point. She was in the kitchen frying some chicken or something. And I was like, Mom, do you remember Mr. So-and-so? And she was like, yeah. I was like, well, where is he? She's like, child, I don't know. He's somewhere. But I was waiting for her to say, why are you asking about him? And she never did. So some 20 plus years later, I was triggered by something that had taken place, one of the topics that had taken place in our support group meeting. I was triggered. And I was like, wait a minute. This did happen to me when I was 14, not only at 24, but it did happen when I was 14. And I had a conversation with the counselor, and she urged me. She said, you have got to tell your mom, because you have to heal from this. Yes. You've suppressed it, but you hadn't healed from it.
Sure.
So she said to me, you need to write your mom a letter to tell her exactly what happened. And the purpose of the letter is so that you can get all of the details out, because if you try to sit down and have a conversation with your mom or with the person that you want to tell, your parent, you may break down and cry, and they may break down and cry, or you may not be able to get everything out. So if you write it down on paper in a form of a letter and hand it to the person, hand it to your mother, then she can read it and read through each and every detail that you want to share, and then you're getting it all off of you. And the other key thing she said was, and then after your mom reads the letter, make sure you go and do something fun together, something that you and your mom enjoy, so that she doesn't think that you're angry with her, so that she doesn't think that you think any different of her. So make sure you do that. So that's what I did. In July of 2013 or 2012, I'm not sure exactly what year, I did that. I wrote my mom a letter, handed it to her. She read it, and she was upset, of course. Sure. Very upset. But I said to her, I said, Mom, but look at me now. Look at how God has saved and just changed my life. It is by the grace of God that I'm able to drive us to Chick-fil-A, because we were on our way to Chick-fil-A. It is by the grace of God that I'm still here and that I'm able to drive us to Chick-fil-A. So I'm okay. But I had to tell you this. I had to share this with you.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty powerful when you shared that with me. And I want to go into the whole piece about the counselor, because I think that's very important for people who may be watching, who may have a trigger. You use that word, and maybe sitting and thinking, okay, I need to share this, or I need to talk to someone. And Sister Angela is going to tell you about some resources in just a moment that you can certainly reach out to. But counseling is very important. I'm always of the mind, and have always been of the mind, that counseling plus Jesus, you can't go wrong.
There you go.
And I like, the fact that, because counseling says that I need help, and I've always viewed it as, counseling is getting from, base one all the way back to a home run. I use it thinking of a baseball analogy. So the counselor is just helping you go from base to base, because it's always been a stigma in our community.
Absolutely.
That you don't go to seek out help. And I often wonder, some of the people that I grew up with, I see a couple of them, one guy in particular, I see him walking up and down New York Avenue at times. It can be 100 degrees. I'll see him. He's just spinning around on the playground over and over again. And my mindset is, if he had had some intervention early on, perhaps he wouldn't be out there mentally ill like this. And so I've always been of the mind that counseling is something that we should seek out when we need it. So talk about the process that you went through to say, I need this help. I need to go to counseling.
Absolutely. So I spent a lot of time with God in my recovering phase. A lot of time, because I wanted to know, first of all, why did you allow this to happen to me?
That's good.
And then now that I'm still alive and this person didn't murder me, what do you want me to do with this? And there has to be something that I have to do with this. So I spent a lot of time praying, reading scripture, meditating on the word, seeking God for answers and for healing. But I just felt like I needed a little bit more. And I had an amazing support system. My family and my friends were awesome, and they encouraged me to go to therapy, but I was afraid to come outside because I was going through the psychological trauma of what had happened, and I did everything that this person told me not to do. So in my mind, he's waiting to kill me, to murder me. So after some time, I said, okay, maybe I will go to therapy. Maybe I will. And so I did. I went, and it was one of the best things I could have done. I am a huge proponent of therapy as well, as you are. I believe that God and therapy are a tag team, and they work together for us. Absolutely. So I spent about maybe 2+ years in therapy, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was because of the combination of the Lord and therapy that I was able to come to a place of healing that I now stand in.
Yeah. And I think that's powerful, and, you hit on it, it's like, I just need a little bit more.
Just a little bit.
And that's one of the drawbacks, sometimes when you're in church. Now you're talking about layers of stuff. Now you're talking about a cultural thought process as it relates to therapy. You're talking about, the culture of the church. And so people are dealing with all of that. So I'm here to tell you, and if you're watching and if you feel like this is some a subject that is really touching you, listen, I release you to go get the help that you so desperately need. I've always believed, listen, everything we need, you're not going to get it on a Sunday morning. It is the work that happens Sunday afternoon to Saturday night that's going to make the difference in your life. And that means God created the earth and the fullness thereof, meaning that he has given us counselors, people who have studied the mind, people who have studied our emotions, to see how all of those things work in tandem. If you need that help, I give you permission to seek that help out. Give yourself permission to go get what you need. Absolutely. And I applaud you for talking about the counseling. You talk about this in the book. This is an awesome book. You want to get this. We have the front cover of it. If you can put that up. Yeah. You want to get this book, Life After the Silence, From Pain to Power to Purpose. It is a very transparent book. She's very honest. She's very transparent in this book. and it will definitely bless your life. It will get you to move, because really the negativity that happens to all of us is energy.
Yes.
And you have to learn how to move the energy. And that, to me, is what counseling does. Counseling helps us to move the energy in us to make it work for us.
Absolutely. Counseling can help you get to those deep, dark crevices where, these feelings and these thoughts are really, really hiding, where that energy is really, really hiding. Because if we just have a conversation with an untrained person, we're just scratching the surface. It's just a surface conversation. But of course, the therapist is trained to get to those deep, dark areas that kind of all link together.
Yes.
It could be an issue of abandonment from your dad.
Let's go there. Let's go there.
Let's go there.
That's good. So let's go there.
Okay, let's go there.
And so, I think one of the things, and I was just thinking that as you were
That's
speaking
God.
it.
That's
Yeah,
God.
I was just thinking it because we can't leave out the spiritual warfare that takes place in our lives, and how demons come after us.
Yes.
Because as soon as we talked on the phone and we had that fellowship, as soon as you started telling me the story, my thought was the mother's boyfriend was a demon. The mama's boyfriend had a spirit in him that saw something in you that made him come after you. And that doesn't mean that it's the victim's fault. And
It's never
I'm
the victim's
I'm
fault.
certainly
It's
not
the
saying that.
survivor.
I don't want anybody to send me
Never.
any tweets or anything. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about how we all in this world have an enemy that is against us. I don't care who you are. And so whatever that is that the enemy can try to use against us, and in this case, he used the fact that your mom was struggling, trying to make ends meet, do the best she could, raising you all, trying to keep a roof over your head, and then use that against you.
Absolutely.
A demon.
A demon. He tried, but it didn't work.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
the hand of God has been on my life from the beginning. And now that I am older, I understand that the hand of God has always been on my life. Of course, I grew up without my biological father there, but my stepdad was there off and on, but my stepdad is not the one that she was dating at the time. But I suffered from a lot of abandonment issues, not having my dad there and not growing up with the love of a father. With the father just knowing, like, nurturing me and showing me how a young lady is to be treated. And instilling those values and morals in me so that I would grow up to be, maybe I could reroute and not make some of the choices that I did make growing up. But again, I'm just really a firm believer in God ordaining my steps.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think it's important that, we have this part of the conversation because, this is why it's so important for men. If you have daughters, how important it is to be in your daughter's life. Now, if you're going to wreak havoc, go get yourself together, and then we want you to come back. Now, because not all brothers are bringing, what they need to the table. But we know that the man is very important in the daughter's life.
Absolutely.
And so, and when I think about, when I say the man, if you're going to wreak havoc, I'm talking about, if you can't keep your word, if you're going to have a whole lot of broken promises and all of those different kinds of things, that also is another whole ball of wax. You need to be consistent. And it's not about the money, because I've heard this a lot. Being a lawyer, you hear this a lot. I've heard this a lot, from the men. Well, she got me paying child support, so, that's just forget it. No. It's not about the money. It's about the quality of your kid's life that makes the difference. And so we've got to be clear that, you're paying child support, but know that at the end of the day, it's about that life that you helped to create.
Absolutely.
Not about the child support. So you have to get over yourself to do what needs to be done for the child. And so the person just really took advantage of all of that.
Yeah, he did. He really did, because it was all about what he wanted to do. And I later found out that he was actually attempting to groom me for sex trafficking, because that's how it starts. That way, the whole grooming process. And to God be the glory that the doorbell rang.
Yes.
Because this person really began to get angered, like really became angry. So I didn't know what was going to happen at that next point.
Sure. Yeah. I am so thankful that God's hand is upon us.
Well,
and he uses those things that the enemy means for evil to use it for our good.
Yes.
And so you wanted to share something from your work, and I definitely want you to be able to do that. So I want you to listen up. This is a portion of the book. I want you to connect with Sister Angela. She's going to give you all of her information. But let's hear from this body of work that she's prepared.
So this is from chapter 3. And the title of chapter 3 is Finding My Voice.
I love that.
And
yes, I help women find their voice.
Yes.
Find
That's
your
what it's
voice.
all about.
Yes.
Breaking your silence.
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Close the blinds and the curtains, Mom. I cried out as I laid in the middle of Mom's bed, careful not to get near the edge. He might see me. His final words to me were, "You bet not scream or tell anyone or go to the police. I know where you live, and I know what kind of car you drive. I will find you, and I will kill you." I pulled the comforter up to my neck and prayed, but images of the woods, the mask, and the gun kept playing in my head as I tried to fall asleep. I just wanted them to go away. So I prayed anew, "Lord, please take the pain and fear away so that I may rest. You are the only one who can do it. In Jesus' name, amen." Finally, I fell asleep, only to be awakened by the fear that he had found me, and I began to scream and shake uncontrollably yet again. No words, just blood-curdling screams. This continued for some time. The nights that followed were filled with insomnia, nightmares, and periods of screaming and horror. The trauma of being sexually violated made it impossible for my brain to form words amidst these nightmares and terrors. I eventually sought the help of a therapist who worked with me for more than 2 years. A combination of prayer and therapy helped me heal. And this is what we just talked about.
Wow.
God knows. This is what we just talked about. So this is from chapter 3, Finding My Voice.
So share with our viewers how they can get the book and how they can connect with you.
Absolutely. The book is available on our website, which is phoenixministries.org. And Phoenix Ministries is our Christian-based nonprofit organization that provides a pathway to healing. And God gave me the vision for Phoenix Ministries during my recovery phase, during the time that I was praying and asking God, like, what do you want me to do with this? That's when he revealed the vision of Phoenix to me. But it's available at phoenixministries.org. And I'll spell that because it's a unique spelling for a unique ministry. And it's P like Paul, HY, and like Nancy, YX Ministries.org. And you can grab the book there. If you order it there, I can sign it for you and then ship it out to you. Or you can grab it on Amazon.com and now BarnesandNoble.com.
Good. And how can people connect with you on social media?
I'm on Facebook at Phoenix Ministries, also under Angela D. Wharton, that's WHARTON. I'm on Instagram under Phoenix Ministries, and I'm on Twitter under at Phoenix Ministry, PHYNYXMINISTRIE.
Good. So I want you to connect with her. If you have been a victim of sexual violence and you've never shared your story, please inbox Sister Angela, reach out to
Absolutely.
her. And when do you have your group at Empowerment Temple?
Well, we're having a meeting tomorrow night. It's every other Wednesday. We have an actual meeting at the church at the Empowerment Temple. And then on the alternate Wednesday that we don't meet, we have a prayer call. But tomorrow night, April 1st, we're kicking off Sexual Assault Awareness Month because April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We're kicking it off at our meeting tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the Empowerment Temple Church, which is located at 4217 Primrose Avenue. That's 4217 Primrose Avenue.
Excellent. And those groups I know are really powerful. And is there a facilitator? How is the group set up? Just so sometimes people may be a little cautious, not knowing, what to expect. So share with them, because we don't want any surprises, because this is a great step for people when they decide to come to the support group. So share with them what they can expect.
They can expect praise and worship. We always open with praise and worship. And then we go into prayer to cover the meeting. And then we will have a Bible study. Based on the topic of the evening. And tomorrow it's This Hurts. How do I deal with the pain, shame, and blame? That's tomorrow. And then from Bible study, which is given by one of our associate ministers at the church, we go into the actual support group part that's normally facilitated by myself or another one of my leadership members. And then from there we do a wrap up, because we talk about really heavy stuff.
Sure.
Which you can imagine. So we do a wrap up and kind of like a relaxation period.
Sure.
And then we close out in prayer.
And then you all have resources for people afterwards, where they can get further help, or they can connect individually with you and some of the counselors. How does that work?
We have a table set up that has resource material listed there from other agencies outside of us in terms of MCASA and also Turnaround and RAIN here in DC. But also the counselors. We do have referral services because we have partnerships with local counselors as well. So if they want to get one-on-one counseling, I can help them get connected to a counselor that will be able to service them.
That's beautiful. She has this information on her website. I went on there and looked at it. She has a blog also that talks about these different resources, and you can find that. We'll also have her information on our Facebook page, the Nicole Mason Show, as well as on our website, theNicoleMasonShow.com. And so you can link with us and link with Phoenix Ministries to get all of the information that you need. This is your year to break free of all of that pain. This is your year to find your voice, so that you will be silent no more. Listen, someone needs to hear your story, and they need to know that they can make it too. If you are still here, you are here for a purpose. God has designed a plan for your life. Listen, I'm always of the mindset that our trials do not come to break us down, but they come to build us up. But you must engage in the process. And the process is, the first step to the process is acknowledging that you need some assistance. And then the second thing is to reach out to the assistance that is available to you. This is a wonderful woman of God to connect with. I have read her book. I have conversed with her prior to us coming on. I'm bringing you the best. I'm bringing you the brightest. I'm bringing you women that I know can impact your life in a powerful way. And so I want to encourage you to get this book, read it, reach out to Angela. And for you, listen, if you're in the DMV, go to Baltimore tomorrow night to Empowerment Temple and get what you need. This has been an awesome time of sharing. The time always goes by so fast. You're like, oh, man, we got to start wrapping up already. But I am so proud of you. And I know that the best is yet to come. And when I saw that you were speaking at the state judiciary, I was, as a lawyer, I was like, yes, baby sister, go. So talk a little bit about that as we begin to wrap up. Talk a little bit about that, the legislation, how people in Maryland, how they can help.
Yep. So we did two bills, actually. So last year we lobbied for House Bill 1528, which would allow the past history of sexual assault offenders, with that evidence to be admissible in the current case. And then just recently, last week, we were back down there again for Senate Bill 933, which was similar to that, where it would allow the past history to be admissible, because we believe that if the jurors know the whole story, then the outcome would be a little different. Because oftentimes perpetrators walk free, citing that it was consensual. Despite DNA evidence.
And let me tell you, from a legal perspective, why this bill is so important. Because if we can show that there is a pattern of behavior, then that makes the difference in the outcome. And so that information is very, very important. You can find that information on her website as well, and how you can help. It's always important, I believe, to be involved in the legislative process. Now, this is my law stuff coming out.
Yes.
That you need to be involved in the legislation that's taking place right under your nose. And you need to be engaged, meaning that if it's something that you do not want to see passed, you need to be writing your congressperson. If it's something that you want to see passed, you need to be writing those people that represent you, so that you can make your voice heard in that arena as well. And so as we wrap up today, I want to thank you so much.
Thank you for
coming on and sharing your story. It's not an easy story to share, but someone has to do it.
Someone has to do it.
And someone has to be open and transparent, and that's what I love about you. Because I know that honesty and transparency is what breaks the back of the enemy. It's what breaks the yoke off of people's lives. And so if you want a sister that is open and real and transparent, and you just want to see if she is really committed to this cause, you get her book and then you connect with her. And I promise you that what you see is what you get, because she has been open and transparent in this book. She was open and transparent in private, and now she's open and transparent in public. It's all been the same. It's not one person behind the scene and another person in public. It's all been the same. What you see is what you get. And that's the kind of spirit that I connect with. Authentic spirits. People who are authentically who God has created them to be. And we want to help you do likewise. And so if you've been a victim of sexual violence, next month is a month that is highlighting sexual awareness, sexual violence awareness, how you can get help, how you can move beyond what has happened to you. And this is a good resource to start with. We wanted to bring her on as we go into that month so that you can know about her meeting. You can get involved right from the very beginning of the month because the resources are indeed available to you. Okay? So we have to connect again, baby sister.
Absolutely.
We're going to lunch. We're
Come
going to
on,
do
let's
that
go.
lunch.
I love to eat.
We're going to do that lunch. So I want to invite you. This is Holy Week. And we are so excited to celebrate the life, death, burial, and the awesome, powerful resurrection of our Lord. And so I want to invite you to my church. We have that flyer. This week on Wednesday, we're going to be having Dr. Lance Watson from Richmond, Virginia. And then on Thursday, the powerhouse evangelist Joyce Rogers. I love her. OMG. She's going to be here. And then on Friday, one of our bishops in our denomination, he's going to be sharing with us. And so come on out to Greater Mount Calvary Holy Church, 610 Rhode Island Avenue Northeast. If you are in the DMV, we would love to have you. But in the event that you are, wherever you are a believer, I want to encourage you as we go through this week of celebration that you reflect on the power of Christ in your life. Reflect on the cross. Reflections at the cross. Okay? So thank you so much for joining us on the Nicole Mason Show. And come back next week, because you never know who you're going to meet on the Nicole Mason Show. Thank you, Sweet Pea.
Thank you for having me.
This is not the time to go off course. This is not the time to lose your focus. Got a word to you.